I'm going to start this video out with a little bit of a story. Back in August of 2022, I picked up the Acer 390Hz 1080p monitor. And while I really enjoyed it, something inside of me was constantly wanting to switch between that and the Asus 1440p 270Hz monitor that I also own. That was very difficult for me, especially when I was keeping both in my dorm room as a student, having to switch between them, only being able to fit one on my desk. With the 32GS95UE-B, they are promising that you can get perfect high quality 4K 240Hz gaming, as well as at the same time 1080p 480Hz gaming with the press of a button. So why did I buy this monitor? A couple weeks ago, LG actually had a Black Friday in July sale, and in it, I actually found that this monitor was about $200 off MSRP, making it only $1,200 at the time. But what made it even more interesting was that Best Buy had an open box, excellent quality one for only $930, making it one of the best deals ever. I purchased it. 2 days later, it arrived on my doorstep. And this monitor checked every single box that I was looking for in a monitor. It had that nice high quality 4K. It had 1080p high refresh rate, something I was looking for in both. It had speakers because I was actually going to use this as a TV replacement in my new room. Very, very simple things. But as well, one of the benefits I do like is that it has variable refresh rate and G-Sync/FreeSync. It is not perfect though. I do find that especially using HDMI with VRR, there is some VRR flicker, causing it to kind of be a little flickery at times. But in normal gameplay, I did not actually ever notice this. I really only noticed it in menus or when I stopped to actually look for it. So it's not that big of a deal in my opinion. But I know what you're thinking. You could have gotten, if you want 1080p high refresh rate, you could have gotten one of those 1080p LCD TN 540Hz displays. Those are going to be the best option. Well, not really. TN and just LCD in general really does have that limitation on how fast they can respond, which is about 1 milliseconds. With OLED, that goes down all the way to 0.03 milliseconds. And let me tell you this monitor is absolutely the fastest monitor I have ever played on. I noticed it as soon as I plugged it in 4K 240. I was like, this is faster than my 1440p 270Hz so much. Bringing it over to 1080p 480 changes the game. It makes my 390Hz look slow, and it makes 240Hz 1080p look like garbage. But it doesn't matter at all. If you're not getting that FPS in games, are you really able to take advantage of this monitor? I mean, look, I have a 4090, and currently I'm using a 7800 X3D, video coming soon on that, and this is amazing. I have zero issues. Starting off with the 4K 240Hz mode, which is what I see most people actually going to use. In something like Call of Duty, I am getting 260 FPS average in the game, with the low fifth being at about 216 and the low 1% being at 200. So we're saying above 200 FPS even in the worst moments in the benchmark. And I can guarantee you that in game, I was capping my FPS at 240 and I was getting 0 frame drops. It was amazing. It was the best gaming experience I've ever had, especially on this monitor. But we're not just going to be playing, competitive shooters. We're also going to be playing some single player games on this. I mean, it is an OLED 4K 240. It's going to be the best single player monitor. And in a game like Cyberpunk 2077 with the overdrive preset with DLSS disabled, we're getting 45 FPS. I know. The G-Sync range is between 20 Hz and 240, so perfect. We're going to be in that range. We're not going to get any tearing, but you're not going to be wanting that FPS. When turning on DLSS, though, we get FPS up to 110, over doubling our FPS for very little quality loss. I feel like if you would have showed me these two different benchmarks side by side and asked me to guess which one to switch, I might get it wrong. And with 110 FPS, you're definitely going to have a good gaming experience, and it's going to be smooth because of variable refresh rate. Shout out to that technology. Switching over to 1080p 480, we tested Call of Duty again. Call of Duty, in my opinion, is the perfect game. It hits about that 240 FPS range, as well as hits about that 480 FPS range. Looking at the benchmark, you're getting about 445 FPS average with very respectable lows in 1080p. Now, just because you're not getting that 480 FPS in the benchmark, in an actual gameplay, you are getting that 480 and above. I'm seeing it hit 500, 550 on my rig. In Counter-Strike 2, though, we're getting way above that 650 FPS and then about 200 in the lows in this benchmark. But this benchmark's a little extreme. And I'm going to tell you a story about Counter-Strike 2. I spent the entire weekend, I delayed making this video because I was playing Counter-Strike 2, and I was playing the best games I've ever had. I was getting 30Ks easily. I was hitting ranks I'd taken forever for me to hit just on my first rank up. And I haven't played Counter-Strike competitively in about a year. But this 1080p 480Hz mode goes a lot deeper than just going into, oh, it's 1080p 480Hz. It also is allowing you to change the size. Going into the monitor OSD, you can choose between 27-inch and 24-inch, as well as obviously the full mode, which is 32 inches. I do prefer the 32-inch mode. It does look the clearest, as everyone else has already said, but 27 and 24 do look very respectable, and if you're playing a game like a competitive shooter like Counter-Strike or Valorant, sometimes that smaller screen size does help you. One thing a lot of people have actually overlooked, though, is that there is a sharpness slider in there, which actually can help it look a little better in game. On desktop, it looks horrendous, but in the actual game, it doesn't look bad at all. This is absolutely the perfect monitor. Why doesn't everyone else buy this? Before you go out and buy it, there are a couple of things that are not perfect about it. This only uses DisplayPort 1.4. So that means that you will have to use display stream compression. If you turn it off, you'll only get 4K 120 Hz. We are waiting until DisplayPort 2.1 becomes massive, but sadly this monitor does not support that as well. I also had an issue on HDMI where it would randomly, I'd boot up the PC, or if I'd switch on to dual mode, I would get these weird static things that I've never experienced before, and this is with the cable included. DisplayPort hasn't had any issues though, so maybe just stick on DisplayPort if you are going to use this monitor. Also, this monitor is 32 inches. I actually switched from two 27-inch monitors to one 32-inch monitor. This monitor definitely does feel big on my desk. I don't think I could fit another monitor on here. It does feel great just having one monitor. I will have a video coming out soon though explaining why I removed all my other monitors, so make sure you're subscribed for that though. But if 32 inches is one of those things where you're just like, I cannot deal with that monitor size, my desk isn't that big, or it's just that's not what I enjoy using, rumors are that in 2025, a 27-inch version of the dual mode panel will be coming out. So keep your eyes open for that. This monitor is 100% the jack of all trades monitor. For a professional, you can use it using that 4K mode, great HDR, great colors, and then if you're competitive Counter-Strike at night, you hit a button, boom. Playing Counter-Strike, same monitor, don't have to switch them out. If you're just an esports pro, maybe you want to think about that 540Hz panels though from Asus and Zowie, just because they are 25 inches and they will be a little bit clearer. And if you're just like, I don't want to spend $1,200+ on a panel like this, there is always the 1440p 360Hz panels. They will be a little bit smoother at its native resolution, as well as that's going to be 27 inches and it's going to be a lot more cost effective. I'll leave an affiliate link down below to the monitors I've talked about, as well as my recommendations. But while you're out there, go type in the comments and let me know what you think about these monitors and what kind of monitor you're having now, or are you going to upgrade anytime soon? I can tell you I'm not planning on switching anytime soon from this monitor. This monitor has been amazing. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Hit that like button down below, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.